Have you noticed how often enemy tanks explode after just the first hit? In such cases, the chances of a successful outcome are minimal, unlike Western tanks. Here's an example from the enemy side. Two Ukrainian Leopard tanks are moving down the road. One of them is hit by the enemy. It looks pretty grim, but that's actually not the case. The fire you see here is the ignition of the ammunition, and it's a controlled process. In the following frames, we see how the entire crew of the Ukrainian tank evacuates from the battlefield. Here is another example. The damaged Leopard tank evacuated the crew from the battlefield and stopped. It rotates its turret, which means the fire control systems are functioning. The ammunition catches fire, but notice how the crew evacuates the vehicle. There's not the slightest hint that any of them are injured. Now an attack drone armed with a grenade sets off for its mission. And here's another modern Russian tank. The drone lowers a bit and drops a grenade. Immediately after, a powerful explosion. Fire geysers erupt from the tank's openings. The ammunition has exploded. Here we see a more protected target. The Russians have installed EW systems. They've reinforced the turret with mesh. They've installed additional protection above it. But the experienced operator manages to throw a grenade into the slightly open hatch. A fire starts inside the tank. The fire suppression systems are not working. The only reason why there's no explosion here is because this tank ran out of ammunition when it was hit. Here's another example. The lower armor plate is reinforced with chains, and on the upper plate there's a Soviet star for luck. The turret has dynamic protection and additional screens. A modular machine gun and EW are also installed. The drone hovers above the tank, then lowers to improve its chances. The grenade has been thrown, and it's a perfect hit. At first, there's only a slight puff of smoke, but in a moment, the tank catches fire. A powerful flame envelops it, and the dynamic protection starts to detonate. The heated thermal trap explodes and shoots in all directions. The tank has been destroyed. Two Russian tanks are moving across the field. A Ukrainian Leopard tank is watching them. Now it moves to the most advantageous firing position. It stops and aims its gun. With a perfect shot, the Leopard hits the enemy. Another shot, another hit. The assault is halted. The crew of this tank received information that two Russian tanks are advancing a few kilometers away. They accept the challenge and move to their positions. When the Leopard arrives at the site, there is a distance of 1.5 kilometers between it and the enemy. The tank aims the gun and fires. A perfect hit. The enemy properly assesses the situation and retreats from the battlefield. The Ukrainian village of Stepov-Donetsk region. A Bradley closes in on the Russian T-90M tank. A decision is made to regroup and assess the situation. The APC retreats. The second Bradley accepts the challenge. A huge risk and low chances of success. It drives into a duel with the Russian tank. Once on the firing line, it attacks the enemy. The Bradley succeeds in disabling the navigation and targeting systems. The Russian tank is blinded and deafened. It is disoriented. The Ukrainian APC retreats. Take a look at what happens to the Russian tank. It uncontrollably spins its turret. After driving a little, it crashes into a tree. The duel has been lost. Now let's try to understand what happened to this tank. Look at the sky. It's maneuvering and firing. Nothing seems to be out of the ordinary. But then it enters the road, and this happens. The tank hits a mine, and where the Abrams and Leopard would have torn off the tracks, the Russian tank turns into a ball of fire. This is because of the additional ammunition stored in the tank's bottom, which can detonate in such situations. That's all for today. Do remember to like the video, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now here is what timely support looks like. The settlement under assault by the enemy. And here is an enemy tank trying to knock out the Ukrainian forces defending in one of the buildings. The Russian tank, however, makes a grave mistake. It didn't notice that the Bradley had arrived to provide support. It turned towards the American APC with its most vulnerable side. And here you can clearly see how the Bradley hits it. The APC continues to fire at the target, gradually switching to nearby buildings. The tank is disabled. The Ukrainian soldiers are saved, and the enemy retreats. Another duel between the old Bradley and the modern Russian BTR-82A. We can see that the BTR notices the Bradley and opens fire first. The response did not take long. See those flashes? Those are Bradley hits. The vehicle is almost charging, but the Russian BTR swerves off the Bradley's path. The duel is over. Judging by these frames, the Russian BTR was utterly defeated. And now the T-90M, the flagship of Russian tanks. Let's see how well it handles modern challenges. The first thing to note here is the frequent ignition of the ammunition upon damage. A Ukrainian FPV drone approaches the target. The operator directs it into the open hatch. The drone explodes right in the hatch. This is all it takes to ignite the ammunition. The flames violently burst through the turret and the driver's hatch. Here is another abandoned T-90M tank. The operator attempts the same trick as the previous tank. Let's follow the drone. In the replay, we can clearly see columns of fire coming from two hatches on the turret, the driver's hatch, and even the barrel of the tank. In this case, the crew's chances were basically zero. This tank goes on the offensive. The Ukrainians spotted it just in time. The FPV drone appears in the frame. It targets the tank's engine. After a few seconds, the attack is repeated, this time hitting the turret. The damaged Russian tank stops. A third drone is already in position. Notice that because the hatches are sealed, the operator targets the tank between the turret and the hull. Here the armor is thin, and there's ammunition nearby. The pressure from the ignition forces the hatches open and powerful flames burst out. As the tank heats up, the flames erupt with renewed force. The tank, worth $3.5 million, is destroyed by 3 drones costing a total of $1,500. Do you think this would happen with Western tanks? Share your thoughts down in the comments. Ukrainians have spotted a massive convoy of Russian armored vehicles. Nearby, there were 2 Leopard tanks. They lock on and attack the convoy. The first tank drives over anti-personnel mines, and the Leopard hits the second one. Instant detonation. Another shot. A perfect hit on the APC. The German tank starts shooting targets like it's at a shooting range. Shot after shot, and the potential of the Russian assault fades. The tank tries to retreat and takes a hit to the rear. The scared infantry abandons the APCs, but not everyone retreats. The APCs move into the settlement. The enemy disembarks infantry and retreats. The Leopard maneuvers and fires. The first hit, the second. The Leopard finishes off the damaged APC, the second target. A devastating blow. Now it's the turn of the infantry, who have occupied several buildings. The tank gets close and fires. With each shot, the chances of the infantry decrease. After hitting the target, the tank turns and rushes to the next building. Feel the burn. Inside this building is an enemy platoon. As you can see, the Leopard is right up close. The tank uses a special H round to increase damage. It circles the building and fires several more control shots. Mission accomplished. Let's move on to the next one. In this video, you can clearly see the difference in the level of crew protection between Russian and Western tanks. Don't forget to subscribe. The enemy is hiding in this building. The Ukrainian Abrams tank received the coordinates. The tank aims the gun. A shot. A perfect hit. Another one. And the building is destroyed. This is the assault on the enemy's settlement. A Bradley enters first and opens continuous fire. Its task is to suppress the resistance. An Abrams joins in. It attacks the buildings where the enemy is spotted. The Abrams methodically destroys the enemy positions.
unfiltered is right up